la République, capitaine Sagnol, de la base aérienne 916 de l'Ukraine. Merci.
And so it's very important to understand that the core principles of the French nuclear deterrence are going to endure, meaning that there is for the moment no plan of sharing the decision to use nuclear weapons. It will always be up to the French president to decide, and there is not the idea of the allies paying for the French nuclear deterrent. It's very important to keep the French nuclear deterrent fully sovereign and not to make any kind of French extended deterrence transactional. We don't want anyone to pay for a nuclear deterrent. Of course, we want a conventional weapons program to be shared amongst Europeans, but not nuclear deterrent. It has to stay something sovereign, independent, and at the same time also benefit to European countries. And it's customary for the French president to do one speech per term, so meaning that his second speech was long awaited, and it's especially necessary since the beginning of his second term we had the beginning of the war in Ukraine and also the re-election of Donald Trump, meaning that the geopolitical context for nuclear weapons is changing, and there are a lot of expectations coming from European allies but also adversaries. Because President Macron repeatedly called for, let's say, opening a strategic dialogue with allies about the role of French nuclear weapons in Europe. And so nowadays, this speech is really the occasion to clarify everything and to propose real concrete ideas and suggestions for a greater role of French deterrence in Europe. The French nuclear arsenal for the moment is not calibrated to replace the US extended deterrence. And for the moment, even if we can have doubts regarding the credibility of the US extended deterrence, all the US officials and even the US president never said they will withdraw their nukes from Europe. But for sure, we feel that there is a risk of a gap, let's say a deterrence gap, and so there is a space for France but also for the UK to really step up and to think all together amongst Europeans about a common strategic culture that would, let's say, enhance the role of France and the UK. If one day there is a reason that we cannot believe anymore in the US security guaranteed, that all the forces, both nuclear and conventional, are withdrawn from Europe, in that regard, yes, France and the UK will really have to step up, maybe increase the number of warheads. But the most important thing, I think, is to prevent national proliferation, meaning that a credible extended deterrence is the best way to prevent any new nuclear weapons developed by Germany, by Poland, by Sweden, because it will be a very destabilizing step. And so we must ensure that these allies who don't have nuclear weapons, they always feel protected by both conventional and nuclear weapons from France, the UK, the US.